Welcome back to Coffee number 5. This week is unique. Even though this is going to come out in the new year, 2022, yesterday I got amazing news. I was selected to be Forbes' next 1000, which is a huge honor and it's incredible. I'm really humble about that, but also I just want to acknowledge that I do work a lot. I started from nothing. Everything that I have in my life is because I earn it, and I feel super proud of that. Today, I invited someone to talk about these things too, because I think that there is ethic in work, and we need to be proud of our work, and we can always give ourselves that privilege of feeling proud. So welcome, Alex Isenberg. I think I say it right.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you so much for
thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you. I mean, Alex, you're an entertainer, dancer, musician, actor. You are from LA to Canada and back, and you have so much going on. So why you didn't introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Also, congratulations. That is a huge deal, the Forbes situation. So big congratulations. But
Thank you.
yeah, my name is Alex Isenberg. I grew up in a little city or suburb outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and grew up dancing and playing sports. My mom owns a dance studio in the town that I grew up from, and my dad played professional sports. So it was a little ebb and flow of kind of the sports competitive side versus the arts dance side. And yeah, I think from there, I went to school to actually be a plastic surgeon because I have a bilateral cleft lip and palate, and that's something that I equally advocate for. Then decided I was going to move to New York City and pursue entertainment, right? So that was a little bit of a shift in my life trajectory, but went there and like you said, really worked hard and trained and grinded, got some opportunities, and was there in New York City for about 4.5 years where I acted, danced, choreographed. Then I moved out to Los Angeles, and from there, am still bouncing back and forth there, but 7 years straight. And yeah, I've danced with some of the biggest names, some of the smallest names, in front of one people, in front of a million people, but everywhere in between.
That's what I love about you, because I feel like we have a lot in common there, because I don't care if I talk to one person or 1,000 person, because from that 1,000, if one care, if I can make the difference in one person's life, that's what it's important,
Yeah, that's what it's all about, though, right?
Yeah.
If you're speaking in front of 1,000 people, if one person is affected or you have an impact on one person, then you've kind of done your job, and that's all there really is to that.
Yeah, of course, everyone wants to make money in this world, but and live comfortable. But it's about living a legacy. And for what you were telling me, it's like you had a work ethics that you learned from your family. I mean, if your dad was in sports, I mean, to be in sports, you have to be such a strong work ethics. And also you need to be so good to your body.
Yeah, I mean, the inner workings of it, right? You see it from afar, and everyone, to make it in any profession. It's not just sports or the arts or business or anything in between. If you don't put the work in to get there, you might get opportunities because of who you know or who you are, X, Y, and Z. But if you aren't able to back that up, it's transparent. People can see right through that. So
absolutely. I mean, it's so funny because sometimes we put ads, a lot with everything that is happening globally right now, but we need someone to be fluent in English. And you can find out that really easily if someone is not fluent in English.
Sure.
It's the same that if you say that you're a professional dancer, and they're going to test you at some point.
Yeah, I mean, if you walking into somewhere and being, oh, I can do this, and then when it comes time to do it, and then all of a sudden all of the working parts that got you that opportunity, and then you can't do it, that's just kind of like, ooh.
I'm totally like, fake it until I make it. But you need to know your limits, because otherwise you burn bridges.
Definitely. If you get, like in my situation, if there's a stunt or something and, oh, I can do that. And then usually they test you before you get to set or something like that. Then you get on there and like, okay, now it's time. And you're like, well, I haven't done it in about 10 years. We'll see how it goes. Like,
or ever.
yeah, and then just everyone's going, oh, how are we going to make this work? You just put a lot of people in hot water, and that's just the ethics.
You put a lot of people at risk. There's a
Definitely.
domino effect for everything we do in life.
Definitely.
Even if you have a 9-to-5 job, I don't care. I mean, if you don't perform what you need to perform, you're always part of the team. And if you're not doing your part, you're affecting others.
100%. The team aspect, I think, is brushed over a lot because not in every situation, like you yourself, just based upon what little I know about you, you're very much in a leadership role a lot of the time. But that didn't come from always being that.
Absolutely not. I pay my dues. I serve more coffees than I drunk, probably.
Definitely. And if you don't know how to follow and be a part of a team, then I don't think you could be as an effective leader.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, my background is also, I studied drama for so many years, and I was a producer, I work in radio and television, and that's what I love about the arts, because it's always an ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
And in ensemble, you need to know how to work together. And that's, for me, creating a work culture and a teamwork is so important, because it's an ensemble. It's like putting a puzzle together. And if that puzzle doesn't work, one piece doesn't fit right perfect with the other, it doesn't work.
Totally. Yeah. Like the whole thing comes crumbling down, and then all the other puzzle pieces, even if they are gelled perfectly, like that one piece, it ruins the whole thing, right? The puzzle's not complete.
It's going to leave a hole. And that happens in any part of life. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about this success that is immediate right now with the influencers world?
So I'm on the cusp of what is like between generations of like the idea. I didn't grow up with the internet. Like it came whenever I was in middle school, but it wasn't wasn't born into it. Wasn't pacified with an iPad, and this idea of instant gratification, which I think alludes to a lot of what you're talking about. It's, if I put up a picture, Instagram, for example, I put up a picture, instantly I get likes, and that is, they've proven it with science, right? There's a chemical reaction that comes with that, and a scientific support that it does something to you. So you put value into something that realistically, it's empty people on the internet. You don't know these people.
And mostly because of the like is a heart many times. So someone loves you, you feel loved.
Right. And it creates this fake sense of people that care about you, right? That it's like this thing. So it's hard to kind of shame it, because these kids and these young people don't know much different. That's what they were brought up on. And that's like it's very inherent for them, which is weird, because I teach a lot of dance as well. So I get to work with a lot of young artists and young people, and seeing that manifest in the idea of hard work versus not getting the instant gratification. Because if that's not there, then it's kind of like, for a lot of people, I won't speak for everybody, but you see it, I feel like, more now than you have in the past, because there is that idea of, if I'm not getting the likes, if I'm not getting the deals, if I'm not getting the influencer situation, it's kind of like, well, jealousy rather than, oh, I see that person working hard for what they want. That's the route that I should take.
Well, what scares me more about this is that it's the fantasy that you can make it as an influencer, make money. I know influencers that make a lot of money, and which is great, but I also know that they put a lot of hard work into it. And they have other degrees, and I'm scared, honestly. I have teenager kids, and I see in that generation that there are a lot of people. Why would I go even to school? Why would I even do that when there are kids that are making tons of money?
Yeah, I think it's like it's still the 1%, and that's what because it's so accessible, right? If you see people in a film or a silver screen, you're paying money to go to a theater to watch someone in a movie, right? that's still far enough away from you that it's okay. I can't just snap my fingers and do that. Whereas an influencer, just like you said, I have an iPhone, I have a mic, I can do that. I can do that. Like that's not that hard, right? And you don't see the hours of production, of editing, of
Yeah.
marketing, of branding. Like there's so much that goes into it that people don't see that makes it feel right there.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, I have conflicted feelings about this because as a person, I think it's great to give everyone a mic and that everyone can speak freely.
Mhm.
But as a marketer, I have a conflicting feeling because people think that, oh, because I have the tools, I can do my own marketing.
Yeah. So with our music, what we're working with right now, and things that the bumps in the road that you find, and what you see behind the scenes of things such as placement.
Yeah.
You might have, and not saying that our music is the best music in the world, but if you have a great song, just because it's a good song doesn't mean that it's going to do well. There's so many things like behind it, the marketing, the having people able to put it in the right place.
I always compare this like, yeah, I can go and get a surgical kit, but doesn't mean that I should be doing surgery.
Totally.
And it's the same. I mean, Instagram, Facebook, all those things are tools.
Yes, agreed.
But by no means is what I call my home base. My home base, there are other things that you need to keep in consideration. What is your home base?
Home base for me is just tenacity. The idea that something that I've really found at the baseline of things, I don't believe that you're going to outwork me. And that's something that can't be, it's not a measurable quality, but if something doesn't work right, my version of success, if I'm able to achieve this goal in not an outward thing. So like some people might not look at it and be like, oh, you're not the 1%. But if I'm able to have a career and sustain myself with, again, and unfortunately money has to come into it because you got to have money to live, right?
Oh, of course.
Right. So am I able to live off of my art, my dance, my choreography, these things? Then going back to, do I have a support system that is a healthy support system? Are the people around me like-minded enough? And especially like with my fiance, she is very like-minded. She's going to find a way, and that's why we work so well together, because it's a team of it being, it's just problem solving. Life is critical problem solving, right? I have this thing that I have to do. How am I going to achieve and get where I need to get with ethics the right way, but still be finding new ways to propel what I want forward?
That's being resourceful.
Yeah, and I think that's, yeah, exactly what it is. Not doing anything to step on anyone else's toes or put anybody else down in the meantime, but do that with ethics, and then hopefully be able to bring others with me to hopefully get to a position where I can hire my friends or see people that aren't getting other opportunities because simply things that I went through coming up, that I can allot those opportunities. Those are the foundations of what I think my home base is two of the big things.
I want to ask you something, because I don't know if many people know this, but being in the entertainment industry means learning how to deal with rejection.
Every day.
Every day. It's a huge factor in that industry. I've been in that industry, and I know how hard it is, mostly for dancers, actors. I mean, I was in the production side, and I had to deal with my own too, which is maybe different. But
hearing no based on like art, right, is usually a reflection of yourself. It's vulnerable to put something out there, and like if you're coming in there as a producer, right? And I couldn't imagine being, and for women, you have to work twice as hard to get half the opportunities.
Oh, believe me, at my age, even back then, it was
more
than twice.
Yeah, that's exactly like the skew of being taken seriously, of getting opportunities and things like that. That is something that's still there today, and you watch it and say, what is going on? But like the rejection part of it, no matter what it is, it hurts, right? Hearing.
Well, I have this thing, I don't know if you've seen it, but lately there is all this girl boss movement. and they are female this. I mean, I'm happy to be part of that, but to me, business, marketing has no gender. We live in a new era of gender. They have no gender, no age. Business is business. We should be not looking at, and that's why I love The Voice, that they can have to pick based on quality.
Yeah.
But I think rejection is really hard. And how did you learn how to deal with that rejection? Was it a shock to, this is something that I need to learn?
It was interesting. It was interesting getting to the amount of what was coming, because, you know, back whenever I was auditioning at like the peak of my auditioning season, I might be going, to 3 to 5 auditions in a day with a self-tape to send in. So that opportunity, the fact that that was a chance, I couldn't be happier that I was getting that opportunity to have a yes happen out of that. But looking at what really helped was I took a class, and the teacher, it's perspective, right? I'm going in to give my best effort of what I interpret the dance as, what I interpret the sides in acting, or put my best foot forward as a choreographer. Not looking at it that they're saying no to me in the fact that it's like, oftentimes it's out of my control. It's just not the right fit. And back to the puzzle piece analogy, we just weren't a great fit.
Exactly. And it's the same. Even I learned something from a friend. She is very well known in her space. And she taught me something really important. I might love you. I might really love you as a person. I think we can even be friends outside of work. But if my company doesn't love you, if you're not a good fit for my company, I'm sorry. Because again, I'm creating that domino effect. If you're not a good fit, you're creating a whole space of disturbance, you know?
Absolutely. And it's so, at the end of the day, still interpersonal, like you're still dealing with people, right? So having a thick skin and not letting those things affect you had to come in earlier, or I don't think I would be here talking to you today in the terms of being an artist still. Because if you're not proud of what you're doing and able to hold that confidence in it, that I know that I'm talented enough, that what I bring to the table is still, somebody's going to see it and enjoy it and want it. And to hang on to the ladder long enough, then someone's going to give you a chance, an opportunity. And then, or you create your own.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are auditioning there, and that they are not taking it that way. And this is creating a feeling of resentfulness, the eager. And I think it's really important to see the other side, that see that sometimes it's not about you. It's like, if I'm walking on the street, or I go to buy coffee and someone is in a bad mood, well, it's nothing that I did. It's having a bad day. And it's thinking, why would take it personal? You wouldn't take that personal, but you will take personal that someone says no to a job.
Yeah, and there's so many. One of my favorite things that I've ever heard was somebody, a casting person, that they spoke very candidly about it, and things. Did I eat lunch? Am I hungry for lunch? Am I, when they're evaluating people, you might be the best candidate, but you look like their ex. And they're just putting you into the no pile because of things, again, nothing to do with your talent, nothing to do with you as a person, just like little things that you don't even think about in terms of being hired for a job. So do I have somebody that looks like me in the dance thing, right? Do I have a bookend that makes sense of does my hair work? Are my eyes the wrong color? Things like that you just don't even associate to.
And also, many times we're not looking at that ensemble that we talked about before, because sometimes maybe you're great, but you just don't work with the right fit for that ensemble.
Yeah, and that's, if you can have that mindset truly, and there's jobs, of course, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I've just, every time I get rejected, it's okay, because there's jobs several times that I've gotten even like to test for, and then didn't get the job, or I've had called back 6-7 times, and you're like, oh, I gotta be in the contention, and then you don't get it. Like that hurts because you're so close.
Well,
right?
what I love about you is that also you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Sure.
You're an entertainer, but you are okay saying, I teach too. And that's also something that probably supplements yourself, your income. And it's because you cannot put all your eggs in one basket.
No, and especially as a dancer, because your career is it's very comparable to playing sports, right? You can't play as professional sport forever. That's just unrealistic. Your body's going to break down, and most people aren't hiring 50-year-old dancers just, for a tour with so-and-so. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, not everyone is Rita Moreno. And
Exactly. No, for sure. But yeah, and I've found that really works for me personally is one is a great break from the other. So whenever I get an acting job, it's like so nice because then I'm off and away from dance for a while. Then I'll come back to dance, and it's like a reinvigorated fire. Your love for it kind of returns, because once you're doing it 8 days a week and you're just burnt out 12 hours a day, I'm just tired anymore. And that kind of thing, when you get to be on the other side, especially with the music, one thing that I've found, speaking of eggs in a basket, having experience in all these different realms really brings a different thing to our music, from our videos. Now we're working on our live show, and things that I've discovered or experienced in the dance realm, in the acting realm, and filmmaking, things like that are kind of all colliding.
Well, that's what happened to me today. When I went to school, the internet didn't exist.
Yeah, right.
It's something that I had to learn on my own and with the time, but combined with my experience in radio, in television, in film, in distribution, in advertising, then everything I was able to come up together. But you know what? For example, if I put everything in a resume, I wasn't a good fit for any job.
Sure.
Because I did so many things.
Right. You're too well versed.
Exactly.
Not specialized enough, which is
exactly, which I think is completely wrong. I think people need to learn through the lines and see, because right now, like I always talk to my clients, we work in an omni-channel world, but also you need to work in an omni-skills world.
Which is also, going back full circle moment, I think when I know this, just a lot of the younger people coming up, they're not told to be good at everything. It's pick one thing and try to be really good at it. But how much of a disservice is that to a person?
Totally. I mean, everyone who listens to a podcast knows that I have these issues with education. I feel like my kids are being taught not to think outside the box, to be one more, that to level up, and also they are taught to work in a cubicle without the big windows.
Right, tunnel vision.
Totally tunnel vision, and right. I'm completely the opposite. I'm like, encourage them to speak up, and they got in trouble for that a lot. And I'm like, think outside the box.
Yeah, there's a huge world out there, and like dealing with other people and communicating with other people is something that I really enjoy, because I like to hear what you think, and not only what you think, but why you think it.
Exactly.
Why do you feel that way? Why do you have that mentality of approaching things like that? Because if I can understand more myself, then that makes me better and more understanding of other people too at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you one of those guys who is in a line and always talking to people?
Oh, absolutely.
I do the same. I
like your shoes. Those are really, where'd you get them?
Oh, shoes is a great icebreaker.
Perfect. Or make a really average joke. Like, I like to think I'm semi-funny, but I'll make a really, really average joke. And then if you want to chat, we'll have a good chat. And if you don't, then I'll just leave you alone. Probably make a few more terrible jokes on the way, but yeah, why not? We're all living this world together. You
never know what can happen. Yeah. Well, our time is up, but before that, I want to ask you the same question that we ask every guest in Coffee Number 5, because I do believe that we learn from mistakes, or things that happen in life, and that we said, oh, I should have handled that differently. And our audience can learn from you. So what's your lessons? Tell us your story and what did you learn from it?
The biggest thing I think was actually I'll 100% know exactly what it was. I was doing a job in New York that took I booked it in New York, and it got to see a lot of like a tour, got to see a lot of different countries, got to do this whole thing, and found out that some of the other cast members, like the pay scale was different for everybody. And young, brash me my reactivity at the time was not as level-headed as I am now, and went and made a little bit more of a scene than I probably should have, because I mean, it wasn't about me getting paid more, it was about some of my other cast members that were basically getting pennies on the dollar that I was getting paid. And I went to it and was like, what is this? Like, that is not right. That's not cool. But not that I did it, but the way that I did it, because then it was embarrassing somebody that was older than me, that had given me an opportunity and these things. But the way that I did it was something that I've really worked on myself. I was reactionary, and off the rip, that if I felt some way, word vomit, here it comes. But that is something that, again, that I've worked on, to listen, take a second, take a breath before I'm ready, no matter how it makes me feel, how it makes me think, like what emotions it elicits. Take a second, collect my thoughts, and then weigh the options, then deliver my response, my feelings, and if it needs to even be talked about in certain situations. But that was one thing that kind of really flipped a switch for me, that I needed to work on that of myself.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing and for being so candid about it, because that's something that I think everyone can learn a little more to analyze how we react, because we don't know how things, I mean, now you're running your own businesses, and you know that from running businesses, it's a completely different perspective.
Definitely.
You see your thing. So you never know what are the situations.
Exactly.
So maybe it's important to learn to ask questions instead of being reactive.
100%. And to do it in the appropriateness.
Yeah.
Because if I have something to say to you, right, in a public forum, it's never going to go well.
Yeah. And I mean, there are places like there is something that I see also lately a lot, which is people not acting well to criticism. Sure. And criticism needs to be done on the side. I'm sorry, I'm not talking to you as a person, I'm criticizing work.
Right.
And it's not that I'm asking you to do something unique. I'm not asking extraordinary. I'm just asking you to do your job. And
yeah, which is important, because if you don't have that, not everyone in the world is doing their job to the best of their ability. That's just a fact. But if you are in front of people, but like you said, pull aside to be like, hey, this is kind of what's happening. Not for me to get defensive and reactionary right there too. Just to understand what you're saying, look at what you're saying, and then make an approach from my end as well.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, when you're criticizing work, it's part of that ensemble. So you need to understand that you're affecting other people's work, and it's like the other part of the team doesn't notice that you're doing something wrong. So it's important to acknowledge and to say, hey, you can do better. And also maybe your team can help you.
Definitely.
And anyway, thank you so much for being in Coffee Number 5. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And again, congratulations on the Forbes 1000.
Thank you.